Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a huge shift happening down in Baja California Sur, Mexico. Look, if you're a foreign operator there, especially in tourism or adventure sports, this is something you absolutely need to pay attention to.
Yeah, that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? For anyone running tours or working in the beautiful Bahía de la Ventana and Ensenada de Muertos region, the message is crystal clear. The Wild West days where you could kind of just show up and operate, they are officially over. A whole new era of active enforcement is here. So, you might be asking, what's driving this big change? Well, officials are pointing the finger directly at the rise of what they call a shadow economy. And we're not just talking about a few people working under the table here. They see it as a systemic problem, one that poses a real existential threat to the region. And the stakes here are incredibly high. This isn't just about paperwork. This shadow economy pushes out local Mexican workers. It operates without proper insurance or safety certifications, which is a massive risk for adventure sports, and it often completely ignores the fragile desert and marine ecosystems. This is truly about preserving the very soul of Baja. Now let's take a look at where the risk is highest. Right there at the top, the tours and sports sector, we're talking everything from kiteboarding to off-road motorcycle and quad tours, is rated as critical. Why? Because authorities are now actively cross-referencing work permits, safety logs, and immigration status. It's become the #1 highest risk category for illegal operations. So who exactly is behind this massive crackdown? You might think it's just the federal government, but that's not the whole story. The real power here is actually coming from the ground up. It's coming from the local communities who have been the stewards of this land for generations. And that authority is rooted in something called the ejidos. Now, this is a really unique form of communal land governance you find in Mexico, where the community itself, not some private company or individual, controls the land and decides how its resources are used. And make no mistake, this isn't just some informal local custom. This is backed by federal law. Article 27 of the Mexican Constitution gives the ejidos sovereign power. So when they create their own internal rules and register them, those rules become legally binding for absolutely everyone operating in their territory. This brings us to what might be the single most important concept for any foreign operator to understand: the social license to operate. It's no longer enough to just have a permit from the government. You now have to earn and keep the community's permission to be there. It's a living, breathing, and conditional agreement. So what we're seeing is a deliberate, fundamental shift away from the old, extractive ways of doing business. The new standard demands a symbiotic relationship. That means operators have to do things like hire local ejido members and even post bonds to guarantee environmental cleanup. It's all about proving you have a net positive impact on the community. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does this new playbook actually look like in practice? Let's break down the absolute key rules you need to know to survive. All right, first up, labor laws. There are 3 rules that are totally non-negotiable now. You must have a valid residency visa that explicitly gives you permission to work. And let me be clear, trying to work on a tourist visa is a one-way ticket to immediate deportation. No exceptions. You also have to follow the new 40-hour work week standard with electronic tracking. And then there's the big one, 90%. Let that sink in for a second. That is the absolute minimum percentage of your workforce that has to be Mexican nationals. Federal labor law is being enforced to the letter, and you can bet this 90-10 rule is one of the very first things inspectors are looking for. Next up, protecting the environment is now basically the place of admission. For anyone on the water, that means strictly following things like the Orca Management Plan. But this applies on land just as much as on the sea. If you're running quad or motorcycle tours, we are talking about a strict zero-tolerance, leave-no-trace policy and absolute respect for protected plants, animals, and archaeological sites. And to give you a sense of just how serious they are about this, for the upcoming 2025-2026 season, the government has capped the number of highly sought-after permits for whale and orca sightings at just 50. 50 for the entire region. Access is now a very tightly controlled privilege. And finally, safety standards have gotten a complete overhaul. For boats, this means things like mandatory real-time GPS tracking and new safety certificates. But this same level of intense scrutiny is being applied across the board to all adventure sports to ensure public safety. Everything from helmets to harnesses has to meet new national standards. So what happens if you try to fly under the radar and ignore all this? The short answer is, Don't even think about it. The region has moved to a full-on zero-tolerance model with active, multi-agency enforcement.
And enforcement isn't just coming from the top down. It's now a community-wide effort. The government has a digital whistleblowing portal for anonymous reports, and local residents are actively encouraged to discreetly document and report any illegal operations they see. From unpermitted tours to illegal construction, eyes are everywhere.
Now check out how quickly things escalate if you get caught. It starts with immediate exclusion from all Ejido lands. Then come the massive fines. But it absolutely does not stop there. Offenders are added to a permanent database, and that data is shared with international consulates to flag your passport.
And this registry, this is the real game changer. It is a permanent, detailed record with your photo, your verified international address, and a documented history of your illegal activities. Getting on this list doesn't just get you kicked out. It could mean you are permanently barred from ever re-entering Mexico.
You know, enforcement even happens right there at the community level. For maritime activities, they're using a simple card system. A minor mistake gets you a warning, a yellow card. But repeat offenses, or something serious like harassing wildlife, can get you a red card, a permanent ban enforced by the community itself with a referral to federal authorities.
So when you put all of this together, it might seem like a whole lot of bureaucracy and red tape. But the crucial point to understand is that this highly regulated environment has a very clear purpose. It's about survival.
And that's the main takeaway. These rules are the new price of admission. Respecting the law is now the only way to participate in this community. It's a conscious choice to make sure this incredible destination doesn't lose its soul to the kind of unregulated growth that has ruined so many other places.
It all comes down to this idea. The system is designed to filter out the people who are just there to exploit the region. It's about protecting the very things that make this place magical for the local families and for the visitors who come and truly respect what they find.
And this really leaves us with a final big question to think about. As tourism pressures continue to grow on unique and fragile destinations all over the world, is this model, this combination of active government enforcement and community-led sovereignty, going to become the new blueprint for survival?